The U.S. is tracking a big drop in tourism from around the world. Take a look at this. Travel from Canada and Mexico was down double digits in March. We're also seeing fewer visitors from Western Europe, Central and South Asia, South America, I should say.
Here in New York, tourism is also being hit big time, once again driven by negative sentiment toward the USA.
We're never coming back to this city.
This June, tourism was down in Las Vegas by a whopping 11.3%. Is Las Vegas in a slump right now?
Definitely in a slump.
Stunning images of near-empty passenger planes are popping up on social media. These international flights have many tourists flying to the USA practically alone. Shauna Massengill flew from London to Chicago. Look, barely anyone on board.
We were not expecting it to be that expensive. It's quite expensive.
I've been to Vegas like probably 20 times, and I definitely think this is the slowest I've seen in a long time.
I love going to the U.S. I spend a lot of time there.
But now you're curtailing that.
Yeah, no.
All in direct response to what President Trump is up to.
Basically,
yes.
yeah. Yes.
Why is America the only country on Earth losing tourists in 2025? In this video, we'll dive deep into the surprising reality. The United States is the only major economy facing a decline in international tourism. While the rest of the world recovers from the pandemic, the U.S. is losing billions of dollars in tourism revenue. But why is this happening? What's behind this sudden drop? And can America turn things around before it's too late? Stay tuned as we break down the key reasons for the U.S. tourism crisis and explore whether America can ever regain its top spot as the world's leading tourist destination. Section 1. The current state of U.S. tourism. In 2025, the U.S. is facing an unprecedented situation. International tourism is down by a staggering $12.5 billion. That's right. The United States is the only major economy among 184 countries to see a decline in international tourist spending. While nations like Spain and France are seeing record numbers of visitors, the U.S. is struggling to keep up. In fact, the U.S. is experiencing a 22.5% drop in tourism revenue compared to pre-pandemic levels. This marks a significant blow to an industry that traditionally contributes more than $200 billion annually to the economy. But why is this happening? One major factor is the increase in travel costs. Everything from visa fees to airfares has risen, making the U.S. a more expensive place to visit. This is especially concerning for international tourists, where costs have surged by up to 20–30% due to tariffs and currency fluctuations. On top of that, visa processing times have increased, and many visitors are simply choosing other destinations. The combination of higher costs, visa delays, and increased political tensions has led to a major shift in global travel patterns. What does this mean for the future of American tourism? As the world opens back up, other countries are making themselves more accessible and welcoming, while the U.S. is struggling to maintain its competitive edge. With such a sharp decline, it's clear that America is facing a crisis. But the question is, how did we get here? And what can be done to reverse this trend? Let's take a closer look at the key policies contributing to this downturn in the next section. Section 2. Trump's tariffs and visa policies impact. To understand why America is losing tourists, we need to look at the policies that have shaped international travel in recent years. Trump's tariffs and visa policies. Let's start with tariffs. During his time in office, Donald Trump implemented heavy tariffs on goods from countries like China, the European Union, and several other nations. While these tariffs were meant to protect American industries, the impact on tourism has been severe. For international visitors, the cost of goods, from electronics to luxury items, has skyrocketed. These price hikes have made shopping in the U.S. significantly more expensive for foreign tourists. And for those coming from countries hit hardest by tariffs, like China, the cost of visiting has increased by as much as 20–30%. Imagine you're a tourist from China or Europe. Not only are flights to the U.S. more expensive, but now the goods you want to buy are also priced higher. For many, the extra cost isn't worth the trip. Next, let's talk about visa policies. Trump's administration introduced a series of restrictive policies around visas. While these policies were aimed at tightening national security, they also made it harder for tourists to visit the U.S. Visa processing times surged, with some travelers waiting months to get approval. For many, this long wait combined with high application fees, was a deterrent. The America First rhetoric, combined with the increased scrutiny on international travelers, sent a message to many potential visitors. America wasn't as welcoming as it once was. For example, Chinese tourists, once the largest group of international visitors to the U.S., have seen a sharp decline in numbers. It's estimated that over 50% of Chinese visitors have stopped coming to the U.S. in the past 5 years. At the same time, other countries were welcoming tourists with open arms. For example, Canada and Australia simplified their visa processes and focused on making visitors feel welcome, which has led to a surge in tourism to these countries. The U.S., by contrast, faced a visa backlog and restrictions that discouraged visitors from even trying to enter. As a result, tourists from key markets, like Europe and Asia, have opted for destinations that are more affordable, accessible, and welcoming. These policies weren't just about increasing costs. They also created a sense of uncertainty around traveling to the U.S. When tourists feel unwelcome or uncertain about being granted entry, they simply choose other destinations. So with higher tariffs, complicated visa processes, and a less welcoming image, it's no wonder why the U.S. is seeing a decline in international tourism. Now that we've looked at the policies contributing to this downturn, let's move on to how this crisis is playing out in America's major cities in the next section. Section 3, the impact on major U.S. cities. Now let's take a closer look at the real-world impact on major U.S. cities. Cities like New York, Las Vegas, and Miami are bearing the brunt of the tourism decline. These cities are hubs for international tourists and rely heavily on their tourism industries. In New York, tourism contributes nearly $50 billion annually to the local economy. But in 2025, the city is seeing a 30% decrease in international visitors. That's a huge loss for local businesses, especially those in hospitality and retail. Hotels, restaurants, and small businesses that depend on tourism are feeling the pressure. In Las Vegas, another city heavily dependent on tourism, the impact is equally severe. The once bustling Strip is now seeing a 20% drop in visitors, leading to fewer tourists at casinos, shows, and restaurants. For Las Vegas, which generated over $50 billion in revenue from tourists in 2019, this decline is devastating. It's not just the big cities either. Smaller towns and rural areas that rely on tourism are also feeling the pain. Local businesses, from souvenir shops to tour operators, are reporting a major slowdown. Without tourists, many businesses are struggling to stay afloat. The ripple effect is being felt nationwide, as tourism revenue affects everything from local taxes to employment. In fact, studies show that 1 in 10 jobs in the U.S. are directly or indirectly tied to tourism. When tourism numbers drop, people lose jobs and the economy suffers. And it's not just businesses that are being affected. The lack of international tourists is also impacting local communities that thrive on the cultural diversity brought by visitors. In Miami, for example, international tourists make up over 40% of all visitors. Without them, local restaurants, cultural events, and retail businesses are struggling. This loss isn't just financial, it's cultural too. These cities, once vibrant and full of life due to international tourism, are now facing an uncertain future. As the U.S. continues to lose ground, other countries are stepping up to fill the gap. Cities like Barcelona, Paris, and Tokyo are seeing an influx of tourists who would have once considered the U.S. their top destination. So what happens when America's major tourism cities suffer? It's not just about the loss of revenue, it's about the long-term impact on jobs, culture, and local economies. In the next section, we'll take a look at how countries around the world are capitalizing on this situation and why they're succeeding where the U.S. is failing. Section 4, Global Comparison. While the U.S. is struggling with a decline in international tourism, many other countries are thriving. Take Spain, for example. In 2024, Spain welcomed a record 94 million visitors, a number that far surpasses any previous years. The same goes for Japan, which saw over 40 million international visitors in 2025. These countries are capitalizing on the trends that the U.S. is missing out on. So what's different about them? First, open policies. Countries like Spain and Japan have simplified visa processes, making it easier and faster for tourists to get into their countries. In comparison, the U.S. has made it increasingly difficult for international visitors to secure visas. Processing times have increased and fees have gone up. making it a hassle for tourists to even plan a visit. Spain and Japan, on the other hand, have streamlined their processes to ensure that tourists feel welcome and can get in quickly. Then there's the issue of cost. While the U.S. has been hit by high tariffs and currency fluctuations, countries like Mexico, Thailand, and Portugal have remained affordable alternatives for international tourists. The cost of visiting these countries is lower, meaning tourists can stretch their dollars further. Not only that, but they're offering unique experiences that cater to a wide range of interests, whether it's cultural tourism, nature, or historical landmarks. For instance, Spain's Mediterranean coast and Japan's cultural heritage sites attract millions of tourists annually, providing them with a diverse range of activities. Now let's talk about safety and perception. In recent years, countries like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand have worked hard to maintain a positive image internationally. These countries have emphasized their welcoming nature and have made sure that international travelers feel safe and valued. In contrast, the U.S. has faced growing concerns over safety and political tensions, which has made tourists wary about visiting. In fact, some international travelers have cited gun violence and political instability as factors influencing their decision to avoid the U.S. For example, European tourists have significantly decreased in number, with many choosing Canada or other safer destinations instead. Lastly, marketing and branding play a huge role. Countries like France and Italy spend millions of dollars each year to market themselves as top tourist destinations. These countries focus on advertising their culture, cuisine, and beautiful landscapes to international visitors. In comparison, the U.S. has struggled to promote a unified tourism message. While cities like New York and Los Angeles promote themselves, there is no cohesive, nationwide strategy to attract international tourists. The lack of a strong marketing campaign has certainly contributed to America's inability to rebound from its tourism decline. So what can the U.S. learn from these countries? For one, it needs to rethink its visa policies, make travel more affordable, and address perceptions of safety and political instability. If other nations can thrive by being welcoming, affordable, and safe, the U.S. can certainly make a comeback if it takes action quickly. In the next section, we'll explore whether America can recover from this crisis and what steps it can take to turn things around. Section 5, can America recover? So, can America recover from this tourism crisis? The short answer is yes, but it will require significant changes in policy, perception, and approach. First, let's talk about visa policies. To stay competitive, the U.S. needs to simplify the visa application process. One of the biggest complaints from international tourists is the lengthy wait times and high visa fees. Countries like Canada and Australia have streamlined their visa processes, making it easier for tourists to visit. If the U.S. were to adopt a more efficient system, it could immediately boost tourist numbers. In addition, lowering visa fees could help attract a wider range of visitors, especially from countries with tighter travel budgets. Next, the U.S. needs to restore its global image. Over the last few years, the U.S. has developed a reputation for being politically divided and less welcoming to international visitors. To rebuild its tourism sector, America must focus on being a safe, welcoming destination for tourists from all over the world. This involves shifting away from hostile rhetoric and focusing on global partnerships to foster a more inclusive environment for tourists. Moreover, there should be clear communication about the measures the U.S. is taking to ensure the safety of its visitors, whether it's addressing gun violence concerns or public health issues. But it's not just about policies and perception. The U.S. also needs to increase its investment in tourism marketing. Countries like France and Spain have well-funded, strategic tourism campaigns that promote their culture, cuisine, and natural beauty. The U.S. has yet to match that level of effort when it comes to promoting itself as a unified, top-tier tourist destination. By launching a national campaign that highlights America's diverse attractions, from national parks to world-class cities, America could regain its position as the #1 tourist destination. Additionally, there's a major opportunity to capitalize on domestic tourism. Many Americans are rediscovering their own country, especially as international travel becomes more complicated. The U.S. should embrace this trend by promoting road trips, local experiences in small-town America, which might not only reduce the reliance on international visitors, but also create long-term benefits for local economies. Affordability also plays a huge role in recovery. The cost of travel in the U.S. is a significant barrier for many international tourists. By lowering travel costs through discounted flights, tax incentives for tourists, or more affordable accommodation options, the U.S. could make itself more attractive to visitors. But all of this requires a cohesive effort from both the government and the private sector. It won't happen overnight, but with the right focus, the U.S. could turn the tide and once again become the world's top tourist destination. So, can America recover from this tourism crisis? The answer is clear. Yes, but it requires bold action. If the U.S. can address its visa policies, restore its global image, and make travel more affordable, it can once again attract millions of international tourists. But the longer America waits, the more ground it will lose to other countries who are already capitalizing on these trends. The question now is, will the U.S. take the necessary steps to turn things around? What do you think? Can America recover and regain its spot as the world's top tourist destination? Or has the damage been done? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more updates on this ongoing crisis and other key issues affecting the U.S. today. Thanks for watching.